your slander. So another piece of this is so they may have, here's some of their frame squad tactics. They may cover up that they implant other people with the mind output, and then they have these other people with the mind output think thoughts, whether to frame people or this and then they maybe switch screen outputs. Like I guess these there's screens where these mind outputs and telepathy go. They've been doing this the whole time, switching eye outputs. Like for instance, they put my eye output under someone else, my mind output under someone else, my telepathy under someone else, and not having them all combined. Sometimes I'd see someone in my mind like moving them all together. But they may have other people with mind output and then switch other people's mind output screens under other people's names for frame squad tactics. So they may have other implanted people with the mind output, and then they have these other people think negative thoughts to frame someone else, and that's part of their tactics. Another tactic they have is they can have devices where they have mind output, but they can fire an image from a computer that hits the device, and then you see it in the mind's eye. At the same time, they have a two-pronged approach, like characterized in my methods of analysis document, where they have someone fire an image at the neural implant that you'd see in the mind's eye, and then they also have someone else interacting with the device, where they can actually influence the outcome of the image as you see it in the mind's eye. Sometimes they have these people who do this, what they call skeletons, and they fire these outlines of images or preformed outlines of images or something to try to spawn something in the mind. But what they do is they have someone fire the skeleton while they don't tell other people there's one of these other frame squad guys sitting at a quantum computer interacting with the neural implant, and they fire the skeleton, and then they have the neural implant interactor or satellite interactor. I don't know if he's interacting on a satellite or a neural implant, and the person fires the skeleton. Well, I guess he's interacting with the neural implant, because it actually, the image will even morph in real time in the mind's eye, and you'll try to form one thing, but it'll form something else. So you can actually, you can be in a battle with it, because sometimes when they're firing the skeletons, you're like, fuck you, leave me alone, and you'll just form random shit so they don't bother you because it gets annoying, or you'll do it to confuse them, to test them as well. But and sometimes random shit will just form because they're firing data, and then your brain has a bunch of data in it, and it will just mix with data, and then just something random will form. So it's not always a memory. Let me put it that way. It could just be some random creation. But what they do is they'll have these people who fire their skeletons. They'll fire the skeleton at the neural implant that you'll see in the mind's eye. But as it's forming in the mind's eye, they have another person interacting with the neural implant from a quantum computer, and then they'll influence the outcome of that image. It's really crazy. Bet my life on it. There were, like I explained in my methods of analysis, there were times when I would think of throwing a knife at someone, and they would catch the dagger and do something with it. And I didn't think about them catching it. I was just thinking about it in my mind. Or sometimes I think of throwing a dagger at a target, and then a face would appear on the target that wasn't thinking about. So they have hustles like that. And I know it sounds crazy, but you'd be surprised how advanced this technology is and the capabilities they have. So they actually have this image interaction jazz. One time I was even like, when people were attempting murder on me and firing weapons at me from a satellite, sometimes I get in panic mode and I think of shooting someone. And sometimes I actually thought it was just shooting someone in the head. And it would be like my mind was in a battle with a computer. And I know it sounds crazy, but this is true. And they would actually dodge. Like I think about it numerous times, and they were actually dodging. And I was just thinking about them shooting so they go away and leave me alone or something, because they were acting like it was a game at some point. But I would actually think about shooting them, and they would actually dodge. They were actually interacting with the image, and as the image formed, and while I was thinking about shooting the guy and him just dying and going away to leave me alone, or just showing I'm pissed, leave me alone, fuck you, it's psychological torture, and it'd be self-defense anyways. But it would actually be a battle, and these guys would actually be able to dodge, and I wasn't thinking about them dodging. I know what I was thinking. So that's evidence they can actually interact with the neural implant during image formation in the mind's eye and influence the outcomes of the image. Bet my life on it. So that's one of their hustles. I mean, if you're in fear of your life and you're trying to find a way to make something stop, are you going to think about the guy dodging? And no, I don't think it's a movie. I mean, let's use reason and logic. If one way, if you were conditioned to think, if you think of someone dying, that's the way to make whatever they're doing to stop. So you think of whoever they claim it is just being shot or something. Are you going to help him dodge? Are you going to make him dodge, or are you going to think about him just, and he goes away? Think about it. And that's evidence they're interacting and influencing outcomes as the images form in the mind's eye. Because if I'm trying to save my life in self-defense, I'm not thinking about helping this guy dodge. I'm thinking about just shooting him. And no, I didn't think it was a movie. So don't fall for bullshit. So don't fall for nonsense. And don't fall for any hustles or bullshit they pull or misinformation they peddle or new hustle or new misrepresentation, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing ever happened. They lied through their teeth. So don't fall for that shit. But that's happened and it's been like a battle. Key point. So those are some of their tactics. Some of their tactics are they sit at the receiving end of the telepathy. Wherever I can hear the telepathy going, I hear it coming out of a speaker. It sounds like a little girl's voice. Sometimes it changes. It's not always the same one, kind of. I can't remember. Sometimes it has some changes, but they'll actually sit there and they'll either type into a computer and use their own fake voice, or they will talk into a microphone. There may even be people who sit at a computer and watch the telepathy come, and as the telepathy comes, they speak and say it, but then they'll throw their own 2 cents in and throw in some extra stuff, throw in some names, this and that. So they got all sorts of weird little hustles. For instance, the image firing in the mind's eye, they'll be like, oh, did you shoot Tom Hanks? And then they'll fire an image of shooting Tom Hanks in the mind at the neural implant that I see in the mind's eye. They'll be like, oh, we shot Tom Hanks. So that's one of their hustles. They have this thing called real-time extraction. And they lied about that. They acted like they can use a beam to extract memories from your mind. It doesn't even make sense. They don't even know the form in which a memory is stored, let alone how to extract it from the mind. They just pull hustles with it. Like, the way I know they've been pulling hustles is like I'll be downstairs and they're supposedly manufacturing a fake image of me sleeping in my bed. And when I come upstairs, they'll start freaking out and be like, turn everything off, turn everything off. And so they're manufacturing some fake image of me in the bed is the vibe I'm getting while I'm really downstairs making eggs, and they're pretending they're doing a real-time extraction. So that's one of their hustles. But if you think about it, how big is the beam? How does the beam have stimulation? How can the beam pinpoint the form? They don't even know the form of a memory. Is a memory stored in multiple regions of the brain and they all fire to access the memory? Is it stored in one neuron? How is it stored, and how do they have a beam that can extract a memory, just a memory? And it only extracts images. It doesn't extract sound. It doesn't extract feelings or emotions associated with it, etc. And how many memories do you have that really have audio to them? Why didn't it extract words or other things associated with the memory other than images? Because if it's figured out the form of a memory, it's not just an image you remember. Sometimes you remember conversations, things of that nature. So where are the words? Key point. And they'll probably start making that up too. So don't fall for bullshit. So if they know the form of the memory, how are they only extracting the image form of the memory and not maybe the feelings or associations with the memory, the conversations associated with the memory, et cetera, et cetera? Let's wake up here. And don't fall for them. Start adding that to their little hustles, as they put it. But they got a lot of tactics. And those are just some of their, quote, frame squad tactics, as they call them. They also hire cyber terrorists and hackers. They pull screen switches for surveillance. They pull fakes. They'll put their screen and do illegal shit from their screen and put it under someone else's name. That's one of their tactics. They love that hustle. And then put your screen under their name. They love that hustle. I'm Alexander Suryagianni, by the way. So if you don't see me, it's 10:23 now. But I started this video maybe 8 minutes ago. If you see me on someone else's screen, that's evidence of their screen switch. Or if you hear my voice on someone else's screen, that's evidence of a screen switch. See, I'm doing a peace sign. Alexander Suryagianni is doing a peace sign up and then a downwards one. If you see that on other people's screen, that's evidence of them using my screen on their computer. Key point. So that's evidence of their lack of credibility. So they got all sorts of weird hustles like that. And then maybe they're using an image of themselves, maybe. I'm not sure. Right now, I just thought of a peace sign in the mind. See whose screen that showed up under. If it didn't show up under my mind output, that's evidence of them doing a screen switch and making my mind output upload to someone else. Key point. So you can catch them in all sorts of jazz. Weird. And they do that stuff all the time. They have no credibility. They switch outputs and put other people's outputs under different people. Put other people's computer screens under other people. So they got all sorts of weird tactics. But these guys need to go to prison. They're manufacturing evidence. They're manufacturing screen recordings, manufacturing surveillance, committing economic espionage, IP theft, blah, 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 blah. I'm so fed up with this. Why aren't they in prison? Praise Jesus. They're involved with breaches of Nuremberg Code and highly illegal, unethical, inhumane human experimentation.